Here's an Optimus 8R stove, and I have some videos that will help you work on these. You can find the link in the upper right hand corner. They all have fuel caps that have a built-in safety release valve in them. You'll also find those same safety release valve fuel caps on Optimus 111s and on SRV 123Rs. The purpose of this safety release valve is to prevent any overpressurization of the stove tank. It will release if the pressure gets too high inside the stove tank. Here are the three most common types of Optimus and SRV pressure release valve fuel caps. The most common type is the one with the pentagon opening. The type with the square opening is an earlier type of cap, found on earlier models of the 111 and 8R and also on the earlier models of the SRV 123. The fuel caps with the hex shape opening tend to be the most recent and are mostly found on the Hiker Plus. Now let's look at some of the other types of earlier SRV safety release valve caps that you can find on the earliest of the stoves of this type. Here is an Optimus 8, marked 8, but it's actually a Transitional 8, which means it does have a cleaning needle inside. This is a transitional period of stove. And the safety release valve fuel cap has a slot on top. You can also find this type of safety release valve fuel cap on early models of the 111 and the 111B. Here's a 111B from early on that has one of those type of caps. Refurbishing these sorts of SRV fuel caps is much easier than the pentagon, hexagon, or square opening cap. This is the tool I made for these caps. It's just made out of an old broken screwdriver blade. You can see I've filed a small notch in the blade. I use a pair of adjustable pliers whose teeth I have filed away and a piece of leather to carefully hold the cap so I don't mar it while I use my special screwdriver tool. The rubber pip inside these sorts of caps is the same size as the more common pentagon-shaped opening type caps. Here's what's inside, and here's how to reassemble it correctly with the new pip you've replaced. The pip goes into the cap first, then you apply the spring, goes on the shaft of the pip carrier, and finally just screw down the little lid with the slot in it. Carefully tighten it down snugly with your screwdriver tool. And that's it. Now let's look at another type of safety release valve cap from Optimus. This one is on an early aluminum cased Optimus 8. You can use that same modified screwdriver tool and those pliers with the leather to take this cap apart the same way as the other. The rubber pip on these type of caps is slightly smaller in diameter than the standard as we find with the pentagon opening type cap. Here are the parts in correct order of assembly. You can see the raised ring that the pip rests against inside the cap. To assemble correctly, the pip goes in first with the shaft sticking upward. The spring goes onto the shaft, and then you screw back on the little cap. And done. Now here's the last type of safety release valve cap I want to show you from Optimus. This one is on an early Optimus 8. This is one of the plated case 8s. This is actually a tin plated case. And you can see it looks very different yet. Let's look at that. Now, if you're wondering how we're going to get into this thing, it's actually that we get in through the bottom right here. A standard flat-bladed screwdriver will fit in that slot and you can remove the cylinder from the bottom of the cap. These type of caps take an even smaller pip, about the size of the pip that you would put in a brass pip cup inside an NRV. This shows the innards with the proper order of assembly. The flats on the pip cup holder are there to allow air to escape the tank if the stove overpressurizes. The pip seals against a raised ring inside the cylinder. Reassemble by putting the pip down inside the cylinder first, then putting the spring around the shaft of the pip holder, and then that whole assembly screws back into the cap very carefully. And you're done. So now you know how to take these caps apart and repair them. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.